they start to walk upright. You're gonna tell them we're coming, right?
TGT.
I have a secret too.
What the world is watching.
We're coming.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Top Guy Theater. Another fantastic episode, and we've got a very special guest with us today. I'm nervous as hell. I'm trying not to be a mark, but damn it, I am. So I'm gonna let him be on the screen after we play the open. So away we go. Well, hello, everyone. How are we all doing? We've got Eric Redbeard with us. I'm so sorry. I'm going to try not to say Rowen. I've been saying it all damn week, so I apologize ahead of time.
Just breathe, Frank.
I know. So, sir, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Nice to see you guys.
Great to see you. Thank you for. We're just a bunch of top guys from ad-free shows, and we kind of get together, and they have Zooms like once a week, and we pretty much do a Zoom together and record it like idiots. So that's really what we're doing, and we're excited to have you here. So we're going to try to use our time wisely. So we've got everyone lined up to ask you some questions, and then we're going to get into your what I thought was a great program with Roman Reigns. We're going to watch a match from the Clash of Champions 2019. So, Brandy, why don't you kick us off, my dear?
Absolutely. So you, of course, grew up in the Minnesota area. You were trained by Eddie Sharkey. What was training with him like? I know he's got a bit of a reputation of being someone that's not easy to work with.
I got Eddie towards the last group that he would train. So by that time, he was out of the ring. He was in a garage. He was, seated, reading a newspaper. And then when you get done, with his other guy, Terry Fox, he would, have us, me and another guy, so like two guys. And he'd have us come and we would basically just listen to his stories.
Okay.
And, he might give tips of a couple different things, but, it was nothing like the stories other people said about him giving a hard time. He's been the nicest person I've ever met in my life. So
that's wonderful.
He's a sweetheart of a man.
That's wonderful. So what was the difference like when you went over to Japan? Because I know in general wrestling training is a bit different for people, but Japan is totally different than the American system.
Yeah, I got to experience full-on young boy status, which is great. 3 months living in the dojo, doing the tours, getting in the ring before, when we would go on tours, I'd get in the ring before the show would start. And I remember we did a bump drill. And I remember this because this is like the first tour I'd met guys like Nigel McGuinness, Morrow H, Brian, Daniel Bryan. And this was back in 07. And I remember them watching, and he got this big, tall guy. I think back then I was like only 275 and really lean. And I remember taking almost close to 100 bumps in a row before the match that day. Just boom, 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 boom. It's like just a crazy blow-up drill. And then we go and wrestle the match. And as soon as we get done with our match, we'd quick get changed, put on the young boy outfit and run out and kneel down to watch the matches and stuff. It's just I didn't get to ride with the Americans. I always rode with the Japanese, which just made for a really lonely time because when we would train and go on, there would only be two other guys at the dojo, or three other guys, but they were all Japanese guys. So just a very lonely time that tests your patience. But I'm a very patient man. I'm a fly on the wall. I listen to things. And, I don't lie. I never was a complainer. I can complain about things all I want. Yeah, I get upset. I'm vocal about things to certain people. But when it comes to doing your job, you just do what you got to do. And to me, that was my job of where I wanted to get to be. So you bite your lip and you grin it and you bear it and you do it. So just a lot of fun times. And they never gave me a hard time. I guess there's all these horror stories about the dojos giving young boys a hard time. I don't know if it was because I was a big dude or what, but they never gave me that kind of hard time. But I witnessed it. I witnessed them go get into some of those. Okay. I was like, man, I'm glad that's not me.
Yeah. So I saw from looking back at your pre-WWE career, you would go by Thorif or Thorif Marius. Is there any story behind the selection of that name?
My legal name is Joseph Rude. My grandfather emigrated from Norway on my dad's side. His name was Thorif Marius Rude. His middle name was Marius. And they already got Rudes out there, and I didn't want to get confused with being Rick Rude, Bobby Rude, whatever Rude. So, Thorif Marius seems a good fit, especially for a foreign heel character a la like Nikita Koloff, Ivan Koloff, Minnesota guy Nikita. So, I'm just saying, I had reasons for that. Plus, Thorif has always been like a nickname I had before it comes to football because kind of I've always been into my heritage. As you can see now, I have Norse tattoos covering quite a bit of the body. So it's my heritage. So I've always wanted to scream out. So, but people always butchered the name, so I kind of knew right there that Thorif Marius was not going to be a big household name.
No, but I love the story. I think that's wonderful. And now I'm going to throw it over to Carl.
Yeah, I'm very interested in what you touched on there in loneliness and that sense of, miss home. And did you gain back mentality going from Japan back to America, or if you could fill in the blanks between FCW and NXT and Noah, what that was like for you to maybe not feel so lonely anymore, and did you start to feel more connected once you were back in the States and once you were in the system? How did that all work out?
So I was a single father basically from when my son was 2 months old. Something terrible happened to him, and he was with me, and he was 3 months short of being a year old basically when I got the opportunity to go to Japan, which was really hard, as this new single father to have to leave your kids, with his grandparents or my parents and go pursue this dream. And what made it worse is this is before the fancy Skypes and even the phone calls were few and far between. Even if I did talk on the phone, he was, not even a year old, so he's not going to be talking. So it was talking about that loneliness and the language barrier and missing, your kid, and then you come back home after 3 months, and it's like that was a lot. I wasn't able to speak to him, and I left. He was crawling. I come back, and he was walking towards me. It was really an eye opener, and I know Harley wanted me to go back and move to Missouri and do his shows, keep that relationship going with Noah, and as a single father, I couldn't do that because where's my son going to go? And ended up being, I ended up having to I was working at a prison to take care of them, and then I switched it, and then I ended up working a good county job that paid well, and taking care of my kid, and then wrestling on the weekends. But you get into that rut of wrestling in the same spot, same area every weekend, and you're not going to get better. You're not going to get noticed, and you're just going to be doing it for what? For fun. And I applied for a reality show in 2009 that I did called Alt for Norge, which was another opportunity where I left my home for almost 3 months, couldn't talk to my son, and I came back, and that was another opportunity. But from that opportunity, I saw when I came back that there was a FCW recruit page, and I was like, what the hell? Let me just put in for whatever, and sent a match and promo shots and kind of experience. And next thing I know, I got a call for a week tryout. Tom Pritchard, and had a tryout match with that Jacob Novak kid, because you never forget the tryout match. That was enough, I guess, to get me signed. And January of 2011, and I started my journey from FCW, transition to NXT, transition to main roster, transition to getting the dreaded call goodbye, to transition to acting, to transition to taking wrestling shows to pay for this next dream. So everything happens for a reason. And I try to teach my kids that every goal you have in life, don't give up on it, no matter what anybody thinks or says. If you work hard enough and you're committed to it and you want it, put in the work. If you put in the work and you grit and you bear, good things will happen.
Well, the patience definitely paid off. We know that much. Being a patient person, the thing that I can, without a doubt, commend you for is coming back, working those jobs, wrestling on the weekend, realizing as an artist in the ring, hey, I'm plateauing. It's becoming mundane. I'm not growing. So this isn't good. I'm going to go in reverse here. So to find FCW and you step in there for the first time, was it, I can handle this because I've been to Noah or other promotions, or was it like, because FCW has been played down to where it's right now, I believe, a kid's playground, like a bounce house place. FCW, you step in there, was it, oh boy, here we go.
Oh, I mean, Dr. Tom was great. His blow-up drills, just the way he teaches, tremendous, and his insight. I remember coming back from my ACL surgery and just sitting in a ring with him, and that was one of the first weeks I had met Brody, and we both sat in the ring together, and we just, he gave us time and talked to us. I'll never forget that. And then fast forward, and like a week or two later, he gets let go, and then Bill DeMott comes in, and Bill DeMott runs it like a young boy factory. It's like a dojo. So people that aren't used to that, they're not going to make it. But in a company like WWE, publicly traded, you can't do some of that stuff. So in my head, I'm just gritting and bearing because that's what I'm used to. But a lot of people folded under pressure and either quit, they got fired, or complained. And fast forward a few years, I think he got let go for some controversial thing after I got called up to the roster. But I just kept going. Like to me, I was used to it, and I kind of chuckled because some people couldn't handle it, and that's just the way I came up. But it's a different world with wrestling right now. I'm not saying people aren't tough or whatever, because you don't need to carry somebody's bag to be a tough person. But being humble and listening, because I have been in it for a while now. I would never make somebody carry my bags or downgrade them or talk to them like they're less than human. I've seen that happen. I know it was way worse back in the day. That's not the right way. But there needs to be a good in-between of just respect. And I don't know. I'm starting a couple of the indie shows, and it's a different world. I try not to really concentrate on it. If somebody wants to come up to me and ask advice, sure. But if they're not going to ask it, I'm not going to voluntarily get it or say anything bad about anything they do. It's not my business. If they don't want the help, like, that's me. When I was coming up, if there was a guy on the show that had more experience than me, I was in that guy's ear. And for better or worse, my whole thing after every match until I am done doing whatever I do or acting, whenever I'm done doing that, take one criticism from everything every time you do it. Criticize something either within yourself or a piece of advice and try that the next time. And just keep improving because you'll never stop improving.
I'm going to fix my watch. That's what I'm going to do. 2 minutes. I'm going to spin it back. No, I'm going to send it on over to Henry over there in beautiful Bath, New York, Finger Lakes area.
It's not so beautiful today, Carl.
It's not?
No,
Okay.
it's not. The rain, it's too much.
Thank
But
you
I
for
want to
your
go
answer.
back. I want to go back for just a second, Mr. Redbeard, because I'll be the first person to admit within our group of friends, I know very, very little about Japanese wrestling, period, except for the few NWA, WCW shows they did in the early 1990s. What led you to go from the independents to Japan versus, say, going from the independents to like an Impact or an MLW or trying for WWE that early? And what's the major difference in pro wrestling, Noah, versus anything we see here in the U.S.?
Oh, come on. Anybody who wants to be a professional wrestler and knows a little bit of the history, knows guys like Bruiser Brody, Stan Hansen, did time in Japan. And for me not to want to go there and to learn, how silly is that? How silly. Mexico would have always been fun, but like I never like had that driving passion to want to go, wrestle for AAA or anything. I always wanted just Japan and WWE. Those were the two that I wanted to get to because those were the top of wrestling in my eyes. Plus, a chance to get a Rivera Steakhouse jacket, that was always up there.
Nice.
I suppose the other question I have for you, since you're still fairly big in the business, so to speak, with America coming out of the pandemic in 2019, while things were still hopping and buzzing in the wrestling business, New Japan was starting to make an effort to come to the U.S. with its own American version of New Japan Pro Wrestling. I'm not sure what else to call it, for lack of any better term. Do you think that New Japan or All Japan or Pro Wrestling Noah, now that things are starting to open back up again, could finally start to get the foothold that might have been held up because of the pandemic? And do you think that it makes the wrestling industry better for it?
Until the ratings go up and we grow an audience of people that want to watch wrestling in the States, is like, I don't know. To me, it's oversaturation. Like, what's the top rating they've had within the last year and a half? 2 million people, a little over 2 million people for a Fox network show. I'm saying expand the audience. That's what's going to help. AEW, WWE, Impact, New Japan, just bring in different viewers, not just the casual wrestling fans. Make new viewers. Make people watch and want to watch back every week. It's just, I don't know. That question always gets asked, and I'm like, we need more viewers. We need more people. We need, it's
I know back in the 1990s.
It's sad to see that the ratings went down like in half just within the last, 3 years.
Antonio, if you think your audio is good enough to give it a try, go ahead.
All righty. How you doing, Mr. Redbeard?
I'm okay, Antonio.
I've been a big fan of the Wyatt Family since they debuted. And I love horror movies. What kind of input did you have into like the ideas for the Wyatt family, and what was your favorite part of being a part of it?
I love the horror movie element. Come on, like Texas Chainsaw. I like metal music, so like the Slipknot influences with the overcoats. You know, like Halloween, like Michael Myers. So like all that shit. Like watching Kane, you know, as a kid, like, or not as a kid really, but like, you know, I consider my a senior in high school being a kid, and you know, just the mannerism of his turning his head back, like just like that kind of stuff. Like I always liked that. I remember one thing, like I would always do like the be quiet kind of thing, because like in the horror movie, like, you know, the little kid would always be like, be quiet, they're gonna get you. So it's just like little stuff like that that was always fun to incorporate into this silly thing of professional wrestling. And I think that's why I like the Bludgeon Brothers so much, because it was like a crazy, you know, LARP horror blend of, you know, metal and just cosplay. It's just ridiculous, but it fit somehow within the realm of that crazy show, because kids would watch us and either be terrified or would want that action figure. So
Yeah, I love that. I loved when you and Brody came out with the hammers that dominated everybody. And the Wyatt family too, especially like you coming out with the sheet mask. I'm like, oh my god, I love that. Also, did you watch the new Halloween trailer that's coming out?
it looks good, man.
Yeah,
I like
can't
the
wait for
little,
that.
I like the throwback to the Halloween 3.
Yeah, I caught that too.
Which is my favorite, which people
Yeah.
get upset about because they like Michael Myers. But I'm like, man, that story and Tom Atkins in any horror movie in the 80s was gold.
Yeah, Halloween 3 is like seriously underrated. That's like one of my favorites also.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, man. Whoever's next.
That's me, Eric. I'm really thrilled to finally have you on the show. Before I get to my question, a side question popped up. You were talking about metal. Are you a big Avenged Sevenfold fan?
Am I what?
Are you a big Avenged Sevenfold fan?
I mean, I like their music. I mean, are they like one of my top bands? No, but like, will I put it on and listen to it? Yeah, like good music's good music to me. You know, it doesn't matter whether it's like outlaw country, folk, you know, music, or metal music, or death metal, black metal, folk metal, atmospheric metal, new metal. Man, I don't know. There's so many different genres of metal. I get confused. Viking metal, pirate metal. We can keep going on.
Yeah, the A7X has always been my go-to for, all right, let's get pumped up for the day. So coming up to this episode of Top Guy Theater, I was thinking for most of the week, I'm like, what can I possibly ask him? And then it's a no-brainer, really. You've got to do something that very few individuals in the wrestling industry got to do. And that was win a championship at WrestleMania. You got to win the tag team championships at WrestleMania 34. How did you feel going into that day, into that match, and afterwards? Because that had to have been a dream come true.
Even though we may have knew beforehand that we were winning, we never believed it until it happened. So even when the match was happening, I didn't think it was going to happen. That's just the way, you know, we were treated. So we were pleasantly surprised, and it was funny. Fast forward to the whole run of that from Fastlane to right after SummerSlam. During that SummerSlam match where we defended against New Day, we were told before the match that the next day, or 2 days later on SmackDown, we were gonna lose. So we were supposed to win, and then we were gonna lose. And I got hurt in the SummerSlam match. I tore my biceps up trying to save Xavier's life off a flip dive, because we were both kind of away from the ring or whatever. I extended my arms this way, which is a big no-no when you want to catch somebody, and it just snapped it. I knew right that second I was going to have surgery. So
and you threw that match too.
And I say, I look down at Brody and I say, well, I'll see you in 3 to 4 months. Like, that's kind of like how long it is. And because I had done it to the other arm before. And we get to the back, and Brian James says to Brody, oh, are you okay? Like, did you get hurt? And I was so mad. I just yelled out, no, but I effing did. I don't know if it's the PV thing, but I effing did. I was just really hot, and I just stormed out of that, that match. And I went.
We aren't PG. Let it rip, brother.
Huh?
We're not PG. Let it rip.
All right. I just told him, well, I'm fucking hurt, and then I walked the fuck out. But yeah, I was pissed, and walked to the trainer, and he sees it coiled up all the way, and I know I'm going to surgery, and just want to know when, get it done with, so I can get back. And like maybe less than like 15 minutes later, BJ comes back again and with somebody else and says, "You think you can work on Tuesday? Give up the belt?"
Yeah. That's grit right there, man. I think Carl's got one more question to shoot over your way, and then I think we're gonna get into the match.
Yeah.
We're such a social media centric show. We did take in a lot of questions from a lot of our fans, followers, and the one that we got the most, and I couldn't agree with it more. It was more started off with, this man is a true fighter. The two losses that you experienced in 2020, we don't have to revisit them because I don't believe in going back that far unless you wish to. I don't want to restrict anything, but they were asking for advice on how do you keep going. What is it for you that you look now in July 2021 after a year that we couldn't, everybody on the screen right here couldn't walk 10 freaking steps in your shoes. So what was it for you mentally, physically, that got you back to the point where you are now?
Oh man, you go through all sorts of emotions, depression, all sorts of stuff. No one's happy all the time. No one puts on this facade. We don't need to. We know we're all human. Like, we all have different emotions. Yeah, like you don't need to hide those emotions from the world. Yeah, I'm a private guy. Unfortunately, something very public happened in a private life. But you keep going because not only do you have a family that cares about you and looks up to you, you go for yourself and what you want and what you believe in, and you don't take no for an answer because one person in this world says no. Or one person in this world gives you a 90-second phone call after being with a certain place for 10 plus years, and a 90-second phone call to say thanks for your little service there, and we'll mail you something in a trash bag. I'm just saying, you don't look at these negative things. You don't look at the negative things because you have to put your focus forward. I just use that as an example because that's the stuff that's all over the news.
Right.
Absolutely.
Look forward to what you want out of your life that makes you happy. And everyone is different. And looking at the 5 of your faces, every one of you has probably got something going on in your life that's maybe just not public knowledge, and you're going through some shit. Unfortunately, for someone like me right now, I have people coming up and asking me about it over and over and over again. If something's really bothering you and you don't want to think about it because you're moving forward, it's kind of hard to hear the same thing over and over again. But like I said, I'm a patient man and I move forward. It's just the nature of what I do and, the public eye and that kind of thing. But you move forward to make yourself happy. Because if I didn't move forward, I'd be miserable. I'd be in bed. I would be constantly like, oh, I wonder if a phone call will come today, or why would you put yourself through that kind of psyche? Put faith in yourself, because that's how you get to where you are right now. Anything you've done that made you special, it's because of you, not because of somebody else. So look in the mirror, look at yourself, say I'm special, and if you have a loved one that's going through some shit and you know it, tell them that.
Wow.
I'm going to toss it on over to Frank. I appreciate your DIY mentality and the fact that I know there was one guy that had 3 eyes one time, but I taken away 4 different P words today, and it's patience, progress, positivity, and let's see. Yeah, I'm going to go with patience twice, because being patient is a long thing to practice, and for you to do so in such a unbelievably difficult industry speaks volumes. So I can't thank you enough for your candid response.
Perseverance.
There we go.
Beautiful.
There we go. The old dictionary coming out.
All right. So Eric, we're gonna go into WWE Clash of Champions 2019. It is your match with Roman Reigns. We're on the Peacock. I usually say on the cock. And we're at a time code of 2 hours and 39 minutes even. It's at the very end of the package putting this together. Now we're going to watch the match, but obviously I have a couple of questions for you during the match, if that's cool. So if everyone's ready to go here, just let me know. We're good? Okay. So we're going to go 3, 2, 1, play. And we see what I'm seeing is a Roman beatdown. Looks like it was during King of the Ring. Okay. All right. So I was curious. I did you have any time to interact with Eric Bischoff during his short stint with the company? Or wasn't it during this?
Like I said, if somebody's there that I think I can pick their brain, I'm the kind of guy that's going to pick the brain. So, of course, he was there for a short time, and I would ask him questions and kind of have him help me, because I've always known him as a great speaker, and because when you watch like the old stuff he did, like he came across as a confident guy.
Yeah, definitely.
We're all big Eric Bischoff fans here.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Eric is I'm 40 years old, and I grew up watching, the Monday Night Wars was my time. Like that's when I was really like dialed into wrestling. I never stopped watching it, but that was like the high times. And Eric Bischoff he's a visionary to me. So being able to interact with him with ad-free shows has been incredible. Something else. This is an odd question too. Just I've been a fan of wrestling since 1988. So, many performers have said that they always get butterflies before they go out, and when they stop getting butterflies before they go out, they know it's time to hang it up. Is that true for you?
100%. And it's funny because I'm doing acting too, and I get the same butterflies, which means I like it. So the fact is, if you don't get butterflies doing something before you do it, then maybe you don't like it. So, like if you're really passionate about something and you get those butterflies before you go out and perform, or maybe if you're finishing writing like a big screenplay or something and you just finish it, I'm sure you get butterflies as you're writing it, or if you're writing a short story or writing a song or performing something, so like if you don't get those butterflies or get a little nervous before you write it, like second guess yourself just a little bit, you're not human and you're not enjoying what you're doing.
All right, I'll have to remember that when I have to put together a big presentation. I'm an accountant by trade, and I typically do get nervous when I put a presentation together and have to present it to our CFO or our president. So I guess I do like what I'm doing, or I just don't want to screw it up. I don't know. How is Roman easy to work with, or is he stiff, or how did you feel about working with Roman?
Great to work with.
He gets a bad rap.
Easy. It's like a night off. And there's a lot of guys up there. It's like having a night off when you work. It's just fun. Alistair was one towards the end. That was just fun. It's just a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, I heard Rowen. He's so polarizing, and a lot of people don't like him just because he was forced down other people's throats. I was never on that camp. Rowen he did what he told, and he did it to the best of his ability. Now he's probably in the best spot in his career right now, and I'm really happy that he's easy to work with. And that was going to be my question, and Frank beat me to it, because I've always wondered to actually get to ask somebody who worked in the ring with him what he's like.
Oh, great.
So as we see on screen here, you are coming out. Roman is coming out to get you, but during this era, what I loved is you would always change up the shirts that you were wearing for different bands.
And quick question, what band is that I'm wearing?
I need to see the shirt again.
Is it, I thought it was...
Come on, Carl.
I put it in the chat.
Oh.
I had it too.
Ailstorm? Ailstorm? Enslaved? Okay. So were they just bands that you enjoyed? Was there a thought process to picking, I'm going to wear this one tonight?
Oh, no, they were all bands I enjoyed. And
okay, cool.
I enjoy a lot of music. And there's a lot of music that people have never heard of. Because I'm constantly reminded of different bands that I've never heard of. So it's just I couldn't have the sheet mask, and I wanted something to, if I knew I wasn't going to be speaking, I wanted something to keep, my personality out there. That's why I always came up with different masks. If you ever watched, I always had different colors and different things.
Uh-huh.
It's those little details that just add so much. I love that.
Speaking of masks, what was it like to have another sheep mask next to you, but just a different color, and a relatively new to the business gigantic man added into the family? What was it like?
It gave me an excuse to switch. I already had all these different masks made.
Okay.
When I came back from injury, and I saw him wear the black one, which I didn't. I was asked to wear a black one, and I said no, because if you're in the dark in the entrance, it would disappear. You would disappear in the background, which is what he did, and he shouldn't disappear because the guy's he's 360. So. But it gave me a chance to come out with these cool Tom Savini style hairs and stuff, and cool things. So I was cool with that.
I love the shirt over at ProWrestlingTees.com that you have of the sheep's mask. It's kind of got a Ramones feel. It says recycled on it. All different.
All the variety of gimmicks I have.
With the sheep's mask in the middle is awesome.
Yeah.
It's like the DDP of T-shirts. All the gimmicks crammed onto one shirt.
That's great. I do. So odd question. Going back to bands, because I'm try not to be a mark, but I'm a huge Alter Bridge mark. I just wanted to see what you thought of Alter Bridge.
Oh, he's a great singer, Miles Kennedy.
Yeah.
I like the stuff he does with Slash as well.
So. Okay, now there you go. See, I'm going to write that down, because I'm so focused in on Alter Bridge. And I know Mark Tremonti's done some single stuff too. I have never branched that out. I just stay with the band.
Oh, okay. Because even you always had to branch out, because Tantric split up and all the band members went and got Hugo for Tantric. Up from Days of the New went to Tantric.
Oh, okay.
That Hugo was the lead singer, and then the guitarist, he started his own thing. So you just always have to keep track of all these different band members, because all the band members are equally talented. They just don't always get those big moments.
Absolutely cool.
Did you ever make it to Parkway Drive with Seth or any of the other guys?
So I remember early on Seth would talk I'd see him post something about Parkway Drive, and I didn't really get into them, and then I gave them a real listen. I think after their last album that they had out, and my wife got hooked bad, and now she wants to. And they were supposed to come to the cities with Paper.
No.
but then that got canceled. So we're still holding out hope because I wore one of their shirts at one time too.
You did, I noticed.
Yeah.
So we just watched you and Roman fight through the crowd, and I'm always curious, what kind of concerns are there when you're in the crowd fighting through a match? I know the security, they're low-key everywhere, but
I
are you always
don't
worried?
want to punch somebody by accident.
Yes. Uh-huh.
We
I
saw
don't
just as
want
recently as
somebody
it was
jumping at me.
recent AEW where someone hopped in the ring and got their ass beat.
Yeah.
That side tackle that you do, my God, it looks so vicious. Lord.
Something I've always wondered and wanted to ask. A minute ago when we were watching the match, you and Roman made your way out in the crowd. I remember vividly going back to Montreal in 97 when Hart and Michaels go out in the crowd in the main event match. You've got the referee chasing after them, and you've got like a gaggle of people that are trying to keep the crowd away from beating anybody up. Is that something that one really has to worry about anymore?
Yeah. I mean, their security is pretty good. Like there's only been a handful of times that somebody's actually jumped, over the years within WWE. If you watch back an old Mania that had Gronk help Mojo win the Battle Royale.
Oh yeah,
I remember that.
38-31.
Nobody let Lisa, the security, know Gronk was going to try to get the ring. So if you watch, she stops him, and he's confused.
I gotta go back and watch
ready.
that.
Yeah.
Have you ever personally had to deal with a crowd jumper?
Just guys that are drunk and want to get in your face. That's it. They never cross the line.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. If somebody wants to get in the ring and then has to look up at you, they probably piss themselves and go the other way. I mean, Christ, I can't imagine anybody wanting to do that. Christ, my Lord. Sorry.
It's a powerful motivator.
I didn't want to tell you. So for me, when you really first came on the map for me was of course this is one of my gimmicks is how many times I go to the TD Garden in Boston, and you opened Money in the Bank 2014 against the Usos with Luke, and that's when I was like, all right, these guys are legit, because that's still one of the best tag team matches I've ever watched. Is that when it looks that good and it feels that good? Is that just you had great chemistry with the Usos?
I think it's great chemistry, and then we were starting to gel as a tag team at that point, so we were having great chemistry. So, and then when we all had good chemistry together, it's hard to find 4 people that have great chemistry. So yeah, it was fun. A lot of fun.
Go ahead, Tom. Oh, go ahead.
I just wanted to compliment on the facial expressions. You go back to the 80s. You got to have long hair, so in the slow mo it looks cool. But with your beard, and we got to know about this beard maintenance. But you're shaking it off, and it's like, in HD now you can see the sweat. Well, I might be a little bit ahead, but you're what I'm looking at is removing parts of the ring apron. The beard. How was that? And was that easier to maintain and take on the road with you since it's attached to your body, or those sledgehammers? Did you guys have to take those sledgehammers with you?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so. I don't think that's making it through TSA.
So building up to this match with Reigns, was that big build with who's attacking Roman Reigns, who's behind it. Obviously, it's Daniel Bryan, and Daniel Bryan's given Eric the orders. And was the plan always to go with you? You were the mastermind behind these attacks, or did they pivot from a Daniel Bryan scenario?
They pivoted, and that's much due to both Roman and Daniel wanting me to be in that spot.
That's awesome.
So cool.
Now, I always wonder, because it seemed like it was abrupt, because they were all sides reporting to this, and I'm like, wait a minute, they're going. This is all Eric's deal. It looks like Eric's getting his time in the spotlight, or as JR likes to say, your goddamn push. And it was great. It was refreshing, and I thought, man, they're really finally going with them after all these years. And when I saw this match, I was in awe. I was like, holy crap! And that's just not me shilling because you're sitting here in front of me right now. It was a really good match.
Well, I think people only saw me in a certain light for so long too, either as tag team or just in certain situations, like baby face, but always loses. Like, yeah, it was always fun.
I was going to even say Brody had a match with Randy Orton right before Bray won it at Elimination Chamber.
It was a great match, and then the momentum was slowed for no reason. So,
yeah, it was right there in Phoenix. I live in Phoenix, and it was the best match of the night for sure.
If you think about it, it was, I think, after I had the Hell in a Cell with Brody, with him and Brian, and then I think I did a match with Seth where he pinned me with like a forklift.
Oh yeah,
back. That was the last time before they gave me a spider and didn't allow me to speak. So they like to hold momentum on people for no reason.
We heard Arn Anderson. He calls that cutting somebody's water off. That's a phrase he likes to use. Like, they're hot, and then for no reason they cut their water off.
Yeah.
And that I've always related to that phrase. I'm like, yeah, that sounds about right. And I think about other wrestlers that were just starting to build something, and suddenly just like that, boom, nothing. So, yeah, cut the water off. That's I never understood that. I guess that's a lot of it's politics, which I don't want to get into. But it's a shame for a lot of really good people, especially like some that were released recently, like Aleister Black. I thought for sure they were going to strap a rocket with him and shoot him to the moon, and then he got released.
Yeah, that was a surprise as well, considering he just came back for a feud with Etor. It was.
Yep.
It's nothing surprises me though after this last year.
Yep.
Did they tell you why when they cut the water? Do they tell you? Do they say, well, this is we're pivoting to this direction or that direction? Is there a reason for it?
They don't tell you unless you ask, and then when you ask, they try to make it seem like it's a really good thing, and you buy it. So
they're trying to get you to drink whatever the Kool-Aid is at the time.
Yep. And
okay.
At the end of the day, it's your job too. So you do your job because you're an independent contractor, and you got to do your thing.
That's been a hot button topic about the independent contractor status, because by almost every definition of the word, you're not an independent contractor, except according to just people outright saying it, because it's a way different business than it was in the mid 80s and early 90s when you actually were more independent and stuff like that. But now people can't do Twitch streams, they can't do media. I mean, everything has to be approved, which is completely against the whole definition of being independent.
Yeah, it's just well, if the government wants to investigate it, they can.
Yeah,
but
right.
If they haven't done it by now, they never will. And so,
right.
And
exactly,
like I said, I don't think. I think it's just going to be the way it is, because I think all wrestling is an independent contractor. That's kind of like the common thing. Every company's like. I don't think there's a wrestling company where it isn't employed.
Now, there's one silly question for me is, you said you were talking about when you tore your pec, right? Was it your pec or your bicep? You tore your bicep, but because that happens in their ring, do they take care of that when you get it repaired?
If you get hurt while you're working, they'll pay for it. But if I go work out before a show on my own, like just lift weights, and get hurt, why would they pay for that? Even though I'm on the road.
Gotcha.
It's a travel. We never got paid for travel days. We only got paid for work days.
So if you're playing hoops, hockey,
yep,
on your own, pickup league, is that written into the contract? Like, hey, don't do that, or is it just kind of like an unwritten?
You can do it. You can take that risk, but if you get hurt and
you're
in the ring, then they're not going to pay you.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, again, I don't. Some of that stuff I don't understand it, and I'm an accountant and I'm into business, and I guess I've always not understood why, your employee is your greatest asset. We say that all the time in the business I'm in. I don't know why you wouldn't take care of your employees. Really, but again, you're an independent contractor, right? So does that mean you're not an employee? But I don't get that. I just don't understand it.
I don't try to think about it. I just try to move forward now. Just move forward.
Right. There you go. Move forward. All right, let's move forward. Oh wow.
So
Go ahead.
something that
Brandy.
what everyone likes to talk about is the agent. Who helped work with you on this match?
Oh, man. I wish I could remember. Oh, that's terrible. Man, man.
Or did you and Roman mostly do this?
Oh, no, we had an agent. It's like, this was like a few years ago. So it's like, trying to remember that specifically. Maybe
what you preferred?
Or Jamie Noble, because they usually work with me and him around this time.
So is that who you preferred as an agent, was Jamie Noble?
I mean, Noble and Hayes usually had the top program, so yeah, you always wanted to have those two.
Right.
Yeah, Arn was gone at this point, right? I think at this point, yeah.
Yeah.
I think he was, yeah.
Any what was the best and worst part about shooting those? Because the thing that got us, and I don't know how close the three of you started to bond down in NXT, and we started to hear about this family, and then we saw the promos. What was the best and worst thing about shooting those promos, which seemingly were like out in the middle of what could have been Bray's backyard? I mean, like,
well, let's say the best is in my trunk. I had the landmass, and they let me use it.
Right.
When I was in NXT, they never let me use it. And when I was out there in the heat, wearing all that stuff, and the humid and the rain, like, yeah, it was just like lots of bugs. It was just a miserable shoot, but because you're in the swamp and whatever. But like, it's exciting because you know where it's leading and what you're doing. So
when those hit, did you know right away?
No,
Really?
not at all.
I felt like a lot of fans. I felt like the reception was like, you can't miss it. The consensus was like, you have to see what this is because it's different. It's not Wayland Mercy. It's not, you go through the lore and it's like, it's not this. It was so different that we had never seen anything. So I think that immediate attraction and then getting so close to 30 was like, wow, it seemed to catch fire pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. Sorry, I didn't interrupt. I remember seeing him, Luke Harper, come out. I remember the crowd just going nuts.
Was this his this was his return, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, he was out the whole time. I was back from injury. It was teamed with Brian, and Brian talked him into coming back because he just wanted to sit his contract out at that point because they had used him since I got hurt. So the emotion of me in the ring with him right there, it's real. I was happy as hell to see him.
That's amazing. Absolutely.
Especially
this is hell of a win.
That being like the biggest like singles match, of my career so far. For him to be out there and share that with me, that was really cool, especially.
So there are probably the last several years, maybe 10 people that have gotten pinfall victories over Roman Reigns, and you get to be on that list. How did it feel to go over that night?
I didn't believe it until it happened.
And what is that now? Again, is that what Brody's wearing? Is that a band as well?
That's the one I told him to wear.
Oh, nice.
He called me up and didn't know. He's like, "What kind of metal band?" I'm like, "What?" And I was like, "Well, I've already worn them on Mars, so you wear it now."
That is so amazing. Yeah, I was going to say this is. I mean, it's. You would consider that the biggest singles win in your career, correct?
Oh yeah.
I mean,
No.
that. What did you call that finisher? Did you have a name?
Iron Claw Slam.
The Iron Claw. All right. I didn't know
What's
if it was.
funny is when I first got on the roster and they didn't want me to have the choke slam because it was too similar to Kane or the Undertaker, and it was similar to Big Show. So they want me to do something else, and I was like, how about this? Because Bison Smith, who's another guy who unfortunately died at a young age, he in Japan would do the Iron Claw into like a kind of like a claw slam like that. And I wanted to do that, and I showed it on the Usos to Triple H, where I hold them up, and I was told no. So fast forward, I was using the full Nelson Slam for a while.
Oh yeah.
But then when Jinder came back to become champion,
And he did the Colossus.
Can't use it. It was too similar to his finisher. And then I just said, okay, when I came back after because with the Bludgeon Brothers, we did the double team finish all the time. So then I just said, I'm going to start doing the claw. I don't care what they say. And nobody said nothing to me. So I just